Have you ever found yourself wondering about all of the amazing things that have ever been discovered? Well, let me tell you what, one of the best years for discoveries and interesting things that have ever happened is 1895. It was the year that Niagara Falls got its first electric generator. It was the year that Thomas Edison electrocuted elephants in the street. It was the same year that Nikola Tesla's lab burned down and he decided to move to Colorado Springs. Einstein was 16 years old. He applied to take an exam at a college in Zurich and failed and decided to move out of the country. It was the same year the first world radio was established in Russia, St. Petersburg. It's the same year that Wilhelm Röntgen accidentally discovered the X-rays in Germany. He was a German physicist. He was given a cathode tube, which is a partially evacuated tube and it has a gas inside. When an electric current was put through the tube, the electrons would collide with the gas inside the tube, and then a light was emitted. Because it was this age of discovery and everything was new and exciting, they were experimenting on everything all the time. If you were going to be somebody, you had to make a discovery and you had to experiment and see what the world had to offer, and he was not going to be left behind. And one day he was experimenting with this cathode tube and he put a dark material over it to see what's going to happen. If you cover it up, will you still get to see light? What are the possibilities here? You don't know until you try, right? So he covered up the tube and no light came out of the tube itself, but by chance, across the room, a fluorescent screen started to glow. He didn't know why, because light doesn't bend around material, so that meant that something was going through the material and reacting with the fluorescent screen on the other side of the room. And that's amazing. And he thought it was so amazing, he proceeded to experiment not just with the cathode, but with the filament on the other side of the room. And he proceeded to put things in front of it to see what's going to happen. And he found that some things, the whatever rays, which he termed X-rays because X is the unknown, and he was a physicist, and therefore they have always been the unknown rays. So some of the X-rays would penetrate some materials and not penetrate others at all. Or sometimes they would leave a shadow or an outline or parts of an outline. And he thought, well, the body is made out of different types of tissues, right? So what would happen if you were to X-ray a human? So he brought in his wife and he had her put her hand in between the cathode and sheet. And that is the very first X-ray of a human ever. And it is amazing because you can really see her bones. She had to have sat there for a very long time because X-rays were not as efficient as they are now. And it's such a good X-ray. And it was the first time where you could see someone's bones and you didn't have to operate on him. It was such an exciting thing that it became sort of an infatuation within the scientific community. And lots of people, every scientist who could get their hands on it, started experimenting with it. Thomas Edison did, Nikola Tesla, not as much as Thomas Edison, but definitely it was such an exciting thing. They were able to apply it and use it, and it has grown into this amazing tool for the medical industry, and it was discovered by accident by Wilhelm Röntgen. What would the world be like today if in 1895 every scientist didn't feel the need to be discovered?